Hi, my name is Boman Modine, and I'm the lead producer on SCP-5K at Affray Interactive. I'm here today to break some of the radio silence for 2024 so that you can know about what's been going on here since last September, and it's a lot. Over the last 2 months, we have significantly expanded our team in order to tackle some bottlenecks that had become apparent over the year and was really hindering our ability to make significant progress. To do this, we've added key members to our programming and level design departments, improved our pipeline by introducing new professorial positions, and have a new milestone calendar so that the team can focus on improving workflow. We also are very lucky to now have a dedicated AI team that is improving the way our SCPs and human combatants respond to players. I'd like to thank the feedback the community has given. The game is about to get a lot more dynamic, and by dynamic I mean terrifying. On top of new team members, we also have a lot of new initiatives, which will begin to reveal themselves in the next few months, but as kind of a teaser, you might have noticed that we've partnered with Makeship, and we'll be starting our long-awaited Plushie campaign featuring SCP-173-B. Our Kickstarter was 3 years ago, and there have been people waiting for merchandising rewards for a while. We can't move forward without addressing this promise, and I'm happy to say that the Makeship campaign will be launching in the coming weeks. The investment that was made back then that allowed our company to exist in the first place will start getting rewards in the mail. After this, we will be expanding our merchandising so that you can enjoy our team's artwork on t-shirts, patches, and stickers, as we've partnered with RobaRoba, who is providing us with unique merchandising opportunities that you'll be able to enjoy. The link is below this video. I'm also happy to report that the game's narrative will begin to take shape this year in gameplay, with more articles and material both in the game and released to the community on SCP-5K's dedicated website. We'll be strengthening our relationship with the SCP wiki writers here, while also showcasing Affray's take on the SCP universe. And I'd like to just say a big thank you to our team. We've had a lot of growing pains, but now we're moving forward with more purpose and a clearer vision thanks to an enormous effort, and by the continued support of the community. It's been my privilege to be a part of this incredibly talented group of people. The tail end of 2023 had some of our best months in it, and I'm confident that 2024 is going to be our best year to date.
Hi, I'm Trey Bishop. I'm the game director for SCP-5K. Today we're going to talk to you about a lot of new things that are coming for Update 0.14, and to start off, we're going to begin with the monsters. As you know, we're phasing out zombies. They were always a placeholder kind of thing. But we have 2 new monsters that are definitely coming to this update. And the first of those is SCP-3199. You may know this as Humans Refuted, or as some other people call him, the Chicken Man. This SCP was actually authored by Ryan Van Dongen. It's an abomination of a living creature. These things are an insult to the natural order. 3199 is a tall, fleshy homunculus of humans and poultry. If you look close enough at the head of this thing, you can tell that the remnants of the traditional human skull are still present, with skin having grown over the original eye sockets, and newly formed sockets in the temples of the skull pushing the eyes out to the side, kind of like a bird. It's a bizarre and horrific visage to behold, but I'd like to talk to you about the direction and behavior of this thing. It's elusive and it's calculating. It's not a free-range kind of moving target that's just silly and easy to take down. These things are actually pretty scary. They operate in ways that are similar to things like the raptors in Jurassic Park, or the stalkers in The Last of Us, attempting to avoid being caught in the open and circling around you or dodging between cover until closing the gap enough to charge you. Now, to talk about how we've decided to actually solve some of this stuff on a technical level and make this actually function for the game, I'm going to hand this off to our technical director.
Thanks, Trey. SCP-3199 is being worked on by Mitchell, who joined the team in September last year. Mitchell's first task on the game was working on the zombie rework. As such, it was fairly fitting for him to work on 3199 next, as it inherits a lot of the behaviour base of the zombies. As such, the mechanics are fairly simple. The focus for this creature is to have a more interesting AI backing on a fairly simple flail and charge enemy mechanic. While being a more standard stalker type enemy, there are still some pretty interesting facets to its implementation. 3199 is built upon our slowly expanding SAI framework, which handles detection, target selection, among some other things. Having a base such as this is instrumental in a game such as ours with such a wide variety of enemy types. We want to be able to have a logic base that we can share across them without having to re-implement every time. Early in the prototyping process, we received direction that we wanted 3199 to avoid the player's sightline, creeping up until there is an opportune time to strike. This presents an interesting problem, because moving to a hidden location is not quite the same as moving while hidden. By default, there is nothing that stops an AI from barging past you to the best hidden location, which would ruin the effect. To do this, we used a similar setup to what we used with SCP-173, using our own navigation filter that weights pathfinding nodes based on the view direction to all of SCP-3199's targets. It does a pretty good job at encouraging 3199 to take a scenic route to your spine. For those who aren't game developers, most AI characters in games navigate using what's called a nav mesh, a pre-computed data structure that simplifies the level into a surface that the AI can understand. The standard pathfinding model that comes with most game engines typically works well to find the shortest path. However, it's not at all uncommon for developers to want to modify the way that characters navigate. A common example is fire. In order to make characters navigate around obstacles such as these, you can use a pretty cool trick. You can score the polygons of this nav mesh so that the paths you like are treated as if they were shorter, and the paths you don't like are treated as if they were longer. This way, the pathfinding algorithm doesn't have to be changed for each character, and instead can just operate based on what is the shortest path. This is usually done based on static areas, but in our case we can hijack the same setup to tell 3199 that paths behind the players are more desirable than paths in front of us. What you see here is some footage of SCP-3199's AI with no animations. This is often how programmers work, as the animators are working alongside us. Another thing we had to rework as a consequence of 3199 is how AI characters respond to doors. Previously, AI in SCP-5K treated doors like benign objects, only opening or breaking them if they happened to be in their way, but not really understanding if this particular door was one they wanted to get through. Unfortunately, in the case of 3199, we're dealing with a character that can be over 3 meters tall. In order to allow the character to duck through doorways, all doors are now defined as smart navigation links that an AI can understand ahead of time and respond to.
Now let's talk about the other SCP that we're adding to this update, which is SCP-7566, also known as the Door Squid or the Door Mimics. This anomaly was created by the Affray creative team and canonized for the SCP Wiki by Placeholder McDoctorate, Harry Blank, and Gabriel Caro. This thing is a completely original anomaly. We believe it's a good thing to continue to contribute to the SCP Wiki and the community, not just to borrow ideas and interpret things from what already exists on there. We wanted to add to that universe as much as possible and let those things exist in it. Now, this thing is a cephalopod with abilities in camouflage, so it's kind of made Area 12 its home. What it really does with this camouflage ability is it behaves like an ambush predator. The way these things work is by preventing players from running and gunning through the environments. They lie in wait in disguise, blending in with the facility, and waiting until they can hear something coming close. When it does, it then finally reveals itself by lunging out and attacking the player. To talk once again about the technical goals of making this a reality, I'm going to hand it again back off to Barney.
SCP-7566, the Door Squid, is being worked on by Hunter, who joined the team early this year. The opposite of 3199, the Door Squid has very little AI to it, instead focusing on the bare mechanics of the creature and how it behaves. Everything the door squid does is in direct response to stimuli, making it threatening, but once you understand it, predictable. We don't want to reveal the exact behaviour of the door squid just yet, but we can share some details of its implementation. The feature that is required perhaps the most tweaking is the eating and its associated visuals. While our hope for the future is to experiment with tailored animations for humans and other characters being eaten, because of the wide range of creatures that had to be able to interact with the door squid, we decided to do the eating using physics. After some tweaking, it worked quite well to attach the creature's tongue to the leg of whatever it was eating and drag it in. When creating the behaviour of the door squid as a whole, we wanted for the creature's actions to be telegraphed, without necessarily alerting unwary players to its exact location. We play sounds and jitters based on the player's movement, which double as warnings for when the player has to stop, lest they become a bit too familiar with the anomaly. Now that we have expanded the team, we can get started on one of the more long-term goals in the realm of AI, the Human Soldier AI rework. Right now, working on the Soldier AI are new hires Zoe and Jason. The first and most obvious area for improvement for our Soldier AI is that they currently do not sprint, crouch, lean, or speak. On a very basic level, this limitation makes the AI hamstrung. Whatever coordination, cover, or flanking maneuvers they might do become very hard to read. And this lack of communication makes the existing issues with the AI more obvious. The addition of bark lines is also used in many games to fake a higher level of intelligence. You can make the AI respond as if they are coordinating, communicating, or otherwise conversing, without otherwise changing the behaviour, and they will feel smarter overall. This has the benefit of not affecting the difficulty of playing against them. Zoe is working on refactoring and upgrading a bark system prototype into a practical game system, which has some interesting facets to it. For example, making sure that the AI do not repeat useless information, and improving our editor tooling so that designers can have it automatically generate the audio table IDs that we use to reference dialogue lines and variations in Fmod. Jason is working on implementing cover generation techniques to allow us to have an efficient baseline for static cover and level, and will be implementing a starting point for AI using this cover, as well as sprinting, crouching, and leaning to navigate more efficiently. For 0.14, we're trying to make headway on our goal of finishing off and polishing the first act of the game, that is, the first sub-level of Area 12, so that we can start moving on to blocking out the second and third acts, and implementing the accompanying story elements. Map-wise, that means working on the dorms and prison areas of Area 12, as well as the first intermission of the game, Antarctica. We're really proud of the work that has gone into these maps so far, and we're looking forward to how they will look as they are polished into their final form. Please note that these are work in progress images, and that the final form in 0.14 and beyond may be substantially different. Alongside Antarctica, we have our first new faction for SCP-5K, the GOC. In their first appearance, they are rocking winter suits. As a better funded counterpart to the UIU, their gear is advanced but practical. We also have two new weapons in the game, the SG-553 and the SW-500. There are also many features in this update that are too numerous to mention in detail. This includes, but is not limited to, new player movement for ladders and vaulting, updated UI, improved controller support, the ability to have multiple game modes per map, and numerous bug fixes, performance improvements, and graphical improvements. We have also made some refactors to some of our back-end systems to make modding easier in the future.
Now let's talk a little bit about what's going on beyond 0.14. A peek at pre-production, if you will. There's a lot of things that we've been working on already, well in advance of the next 2 or 3 updates. So we can promise that there will continue to be more new monsters, improved AI, more weapons, and new maps. 3 things I'd like to talk about are the Devastator, SCP-610, and SCP-940. These things have been well underway, and we can't talk about them too much, at least not right now. But look forward to the future, because they are coming. Now, you've heard us mention 0.14 a lot in this devlog. But I imagine you may be wondering, when is it coming out? Well, I'm happy to tell you, the update 0.14 will be coming out April 12th. Thank you for tuning in with us once again. Please consider joining our Discord, follow us on social media, and as always, we look forward to sharing more with you in the very near future. Thank you.